Hi everyone, my name is Twinkle and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you what kind of English test papers can you expect if you are planning to become a cabin crew in a Middle East airline, specifically Qatar Airways. So if you're interested, then keep on watching, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then hit the subscribe button, like the video and share it with someone who needs to see this. Let's quickly get into the video. So before I share with you the English papers and the types of questions you can get, let me tell you that English test papers, English examination papers are a part of cabin crew interview, namely a pre-screening stage. It can be done offline or it can be done online depending upon what airline. So Qatar Airways, for example, it happens offline. Etihad happens online, may or may not happen depending upon from which country or which location are you giving it. But for Qatar Airways, it is happening offline. One of the major tip that I could have given you for an English exam for clearing it with flying colors is to know what kind of questions can you expect. And this video is exactly going to do that. So why do you think there are English tests? Do you think it's to check your fluency or your understanding of English? Well, that is also a valid point. However, do you think they really needed to conduct an exam? Why do they need to conduct an exam, and why do you think people talk about it being very tricky or very difficult, or some of them who say it's very easy are sometimes getting rejected, most of the times getting rejected. So what is it that is making it that peculiar? I will tell you. Speaking English or being fluent in English or understanding English and communicating with each other is very different from giving an English grammar exam. Because in spoken English, whatever you talk, that can be grammatically wrong, and it is fine. It's absolutely fine, because till the time you're able to understand each other, you are able to fulfill the purpose of communication, it is okay. However, whenever you're giving a grammar exam, you need to be correct. And that can be done only when you know the basics, the principles, the guidelines, the rules of basic grammar of English language. So if you're someone who's been speaking wrong English or does not have a very strong base of grammar, you might want to have to work hard on this part. Cabin crew job requires you to not just be fluent in spoken English, but also be fluent in your written communication skills, because it will involve you making reports, writing reports, using computers, and then using your written as well as spoken communication skills. You know, if you're going to be joining a Middle East airline, you're going to be coming across a lot of people from different walks of life, from different parts of around the world, where English is not going to be the only language, where English might or might not be their first language, but definitely has to be one of the biggest and the only modes of communication if you want to make yourself understand, solve problems, give solutions, and collaborate with not just your team but also your supervisors, managers in case of emergency, and also to do your first aid. And we don't want you to make any mistakes, hence it becomes even more important to clear and prepare for these examinations. Now let me tell you, how are your English tests divided? So English tests are divided in 3 parts. One of them is reading or comprehension, where a piece of information is given to you, and after reading and understanding on the basis of just that information provided, you will either have some questions, or most probably the questions are fill-ups, the fill in the blanks, how you used to do it in your school. So depending upon what is your understanding, that will decide how correctly do you answer those questions. They're pretty easy. They can have some questions related to synonyms, or find the similar word, or found the information which makes sense, something like that. However, it is reading and comprehension. Now, some people might tell you that it is based on the airline, or it might only have airline or aviation terminology, and you need to be well read about it. My tip for you would be, do not go ahead and focus on such things. When you focus on clearing only one examination paper and you are going crazy asking for examination papers, you're trying very hard to get that one paper. But what happens is, even if you're able to get that paper, you might still not be able to get selected, because your approach is very wrong. The English examination is not just based on your knowledge but also your understanding during pressure. You know that there are time constraints. It is a timed examination. You see there's a lot of pressure because that is a golden opportunity and it's a one shot. You either make it or you don't make it, and then you'll have to go through a lot of hassle to do it all over again. So there is anyway a lot of pressure. And if you don't have an understanding, you don't understand what you have to write, you're not confident about your knowledge, you might end up again making a lot of mistakes. So don't have that approach of getting that one paper and you just know what the questions are going to be so that you can just go copy paste and you get sorted. Trust me, if this is your approach, you're going to have a lot of problems in your final interview as well as when you're in the company. So without stressing on what the topic would be, just go ahead and practice some comprehension tests. You can find a lot of them on IELTS.com, where people practice for their IELTS examinations, or any other English websites where you have comprehensions and reading passages that are free. I might as well just put a few websites in the description below for you to practice. Make sure you're not practicing for just one exam. That is going to change your life. You're working on your knowledge and your understanding, and at the end you want to improve yourself. The second type of question that you can expect is a dialogue between a customer and a passenger, or a dialogue between any two people. There will be a reference, there might be a reference picture, there might not be a reference picture, but there is a dialogue, and again it is similar to fill-ups. There's a lot of fill in the blanks. You might have options also, but that is not mandatory. So it is going to be a dialogue between a passenger and a customer, and I will leave a few examples also later in this video for you to understand. Third type of question that you can expect is now grammar. They're going to be multiple choice questions based on different grammar topics like tenses, verbs, modals, conditionals, articles, conjunctions, so on and so forth. Again, talks about your understanding of grammar. They're not very difficult but can be tricky because a lot of the options might look similar. Why? Because your basics are not clear. For someone who knows what to write and what is correct and what is not correct, uses the elimination method, is not going to face much of a problem. They are going to know that there is only one correct answer and there is no confusion point there. So I would also put an example for you to understand what type of questions you can expect, but they are going to be more or less multiple choice questions, and only you have to choose one out of the 4 given options. That is all the type of questions you can expect in an English exam. So now let me take you to actual examples where you can go ahead and practice. You can pause the video, do the test, solve it for yourself, and then check for yourself whether the answers for that question are correct or not. But wait, let me give you a few tips before you start the test, which is going to be very fruitful for the day of your English examination. Number 1 tip is to go with your instinct and not with guesswork. Most of the times you would definitely know the correct answer because that is based on your knowledge, something that you've been practicing for a very long period of time. So go with your instinct. The first time when you read the question, the second time, the third time, when you go ahead, you will have an answer that comes up to your mind. That is going to be most probably the correct answer. But that can also be wrong in case you have learned wrong grammar. You have been speaking wrong English all this while. So make sure that you go ahead and recite what you're going to say once again and again before you feel that this is the most comfortable answer. Or you could also choose to go with elimination method. Try to strike out all the answers which you don't think make a lot of sense with the question that is given. After you strike out the 2 most irrelevant options and the third irrelevant option, whatever is remaining should be your correct answer. Point number 2 is read the question and come up with the answer in your head first. Very similar to the first point. Read the question. This is more relevant to your comprehension passage. Some people prefer to read the passage. Some people prefer to read the questions. You can choose any approach, but I would say that go ahead and read the question first. Try to understand what they are asking, and then when you read the passage, you would exactly know what you are looking for. Go ahead, read the question, come up with an answer in your head already, and then try to analyze why do you think it is wrong or why do you think it is correct. Tip number 3 is to make sure that you're well versed with timekeeping and pressure building. As I already mentioned in this video before, you have to be comfortable with pressure around you and timekeeping around you. So what you want to do is practice solving a few test papers, but make sure you are timing that up. If you are a part of my Cabin Crew coaching program, we do simulate a few of these exams where I provide you a platform to practice these English exams with other students, as well as it is timed. So if you're interested to learn and prepare yourself for interview, specifically for a Middle East airline, you might want to go ahead and check out my interview Cabin Crew coaching program, the details for which will be in the description box below. So make sure that whenever you practice with a watch in hand and you keep a time and do not cheat. This will help you gain more confidence and make you well versed with the simulation, with the actual interview setup when you go for your actual day of interview. Point number 4 is read the instructions very carefully. Even before you start the exam, I would recommend that you read the instructions carefully about what type of pen to use, what ink to use, how to correct the wrong answer. Is it a signature? Do you need to circle or cross? All these details, knowing them beforehand is going to work for your favor, because there are a lot of students who are giving it and there is no one who's manually going to check each and every answer. We have stencils. Recruiters use stencils to correct your examinations, and after all, they're also human. Error can happen. So do not complicate things for them. Read the questions. If you have any questions, ask them before you start the examinations and have a lot of clarity while you're doing the exam. Last and the most important tip is stop looking for shortcuts and stop looking for the exact English papers all over the internet. I receive a lot of DMs and messages asking me for that one type of exam that they hear from their lot of friends that they got an examination or the test like that. They had questions related to Qatar Airways. Well, the questions that you're discussing about are years old and they have been the same examinations. And what is the reason that you think you're still not able to make if the questions are still the same? It's the wrong approach. It is not about copy paste formula. It is not about that you should know the exact examination or English question, but your knowledge of grammar. So stop looking for wrong things and stop wasting your time and focus on the wrong things. Rather, go ahead and improve your basics. Try to learn if you have problems with tenses, verbs, what is that one thing that you are doing consistently wrong, and then try to gain some insight on those topics. You might want to hire an ESL trainer or an English tutor for yourself. If that is what you require, go ahead and do that, because there's no point in attempting an exam again and again and again and disappointing and getting demotivated. Until and unless you do an action towards improvement, you will never see a result. Hence, you will never feel motivated. On that note, let's now show you what kind of examination questions can you see. Let's go. I hope you found this video helpful and it gave you a lot of insight of what type of examination, what type of tests can you expect in Qatar Airways or any Middle East Airlines pre-screening stage. If so, do not forget to share it with someone. Like this video and I will see you in my next one. Till then, take care and bye-bye.